Virgin Islands, it's National Hospital Appreciation Week, and the celebrations are kicking off at the Schneider Regional Medical Center. Dozens of hospital staff gathered in the lobby, hearing from special speakers who shared words of appreciation to employees. Now, the theme this year is inspiring hope through healing. Everyone wore buttons that said, quote, "We care," as a sign of commitment and dedication to each patient that comes to the medical center. And our Ali Bornvanet caught up with one of the medical center leaders as they kick off a special week.
Hospital Week we celebrate on an annual basis. It's a week long now. It started off as a day, but it's a week long just to bring the morale and the awareness of what we do in the hospital every single day of the year. We want the community to be able to appreciate the hard work and actually how much it takes to keep an organization running perfectly as we try to be in a zero harm environment. Tomorrow we're going to celebrate our recognition of our employees. Basically every 5 years we recognize an employee's achievements and their time here in the hospital. So we recognize 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, all the way up to 35 years. We have some employees that have been in the organization and committed to the organization for 35 years. And so we take that time to recognize them and appreciate all that they've done. We do a lot here, and I am proud of this organization. I'm proud of the people. This is what this organization and what this day and this week is about, is recognizing that we have a building and we're excited to get a new building redeveloped and reconstructed. But the only thing that has remained the consistency in this organization are the hard-working individuals of this organization.
Well, Puerto Rico has a new executive order that allows schools to open, but there's only 3 weeks left. And now citizens have mixed feelings about this move. And our Alanis Quinones brings us reaction.
As of right now, schools can now reopen on the island again, although there's not much of the semester. To this, the Secretary of the Education Department highlights that his priority for this 3 weeks remaining is to address the incredible academic lack the students have. Now, what do people think about it? Here's our reactions.
I think they should be ready to open. I think there's some schools that aren't ready to open, but if there are enough schools ready to open, they should have opened way before. I don't think 3 weeks before summer is a good time to open a school that hasn't been open for more than a year. That's my opinion.
I think the health authorities have to decide, and they will have an honest and scientific opinion. They are the only ones that are able to choose what to do. The other people are politicians or stupid people or whatever. It's the best for the kids.
It's astounding to see that you have casinos and a lot of things open and the schools are still closed. And yes, they're going to be open for 2 weeks, but the impact that it has had on them for the last year is pretty big. So we're hoping that this takes, whoever it is in charge of this takes care so that in August everybody who is ready, because not all the schools, especially public schools, have the infrastructure to do that. So, Mr. Governor, I urge you to think of the kids and the students.
I don't think it's fine because of the coronavirus and it's not safe yet. That's what I think, but it's just a personal opinion. Yeah, but I don't have kids, so I can't, and I don't go to school anymore, so I don't really know how it's going, but I don't think it's safe.
It was reported this week that more than 37,000 students on the island are at a risk of failing this semester. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quinones.
Across the Caribbean, it took years of negotiations, but now the Bahamas has greater ownership of its airspace, and it's to deal with the U.S., which could mean several more millions of dollars to the island country. And our Deandra Hamilton has more on the deal and explains what it means for the Bahamas.
An intense 4-year negotiation has concluded with a landmark moment and a possible $300 million in earnings for the Bahamas over the next decade, greater ownership of its sovereign airspace by the Bahamas, and a stronger cooperation between the Bahamas and the United States. Chargé d'Affaires of the USA to the Bahamas, Usha Pitts, was jovial, her remarks offering perspective.
The Bahamas to begin receiving flight data from the FAA, and then also so the Bahamas can take a more active part in its airspace management.
The Air Navigation Services Agreement was signed since April 30th and has a 10-year life. It continues to require the services of the U.S. Federal Aviation Authority, but now there is revenue potential for the Bahamas. The U.S. contract will be at a nominal fee of $80,000 per year.
Bahamas will assume, for the first time, the management of its sovereign airspace. Commencing the 1st of May 2021, aircraft landing in and departing out of the sovereign airspace of the Bahamas, aircraft flying solely within the sovereign airspace of the Bahamas, and aircraft flying over the sovereign airspace of the Bahamas will start for the very first time to pay fees to an entity solely owned and operated by the government of the Bahamas.
The Tourism and Aviation Minister expressed that for decades, the Bahamas had been left out of the opportunities. The signing rights that wrong, and since May 1st, Bahamian airspace has been earning money for the country, whammied in 2019 by Hurricane Dorian and since 2020 by the coronavirus pandemic.
All airspace users would now begin to pay a fee to the government of the Bahamas to use our sovereign airspace.
And a salary relief grant for the month of May will be made available for citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who have lost their jobs during the pandemic because of the restrictions put in place to stop the spread of COVID-19. The country's finance minister, Colm Imbert, said that a grant of $1,500 will be made available to those who lost their jobs at the start of the month, and $1,000 will be made available for those who have lost their jobs over the last few days. Now at least 20,000 people are expected to be eligible for the grants, the two grants that is. Up to last month, Imbert said the finance ministry paid out over $85,000 salary relief grants. There are still, however, 7,000 people who were approved who still have not received the funds because of problems with their bank information.
So that in light of the restrictions that have come into force in the month of May, starting from the beginning of the month, we will provide an income support grant if people are not in the formal system, and a salary relief grant if people are in the formal system of the same amount as last year, $1,500, for persons who may have lost their employment for just a week or two towards the end of May as a result of the restrictions just introduced a couple of days ago. We'll provide a grant of $1,000. So for persons who lost employment at the beginning of May because of the restrictions put in at that time on the hospitality industry in particular, we will provide a grant of $1,500, and for persons who may have lost their employment just in the last couple of days, we provide a grant of $1,000, and that is just for the month of May.
And the finance minister also addressed the issue of possible grants for citizens stranded outside of Trinidad and Tobago.
With respect to grants for persons who are stranded overseas, that is not something we are contemplating at this point in time. But now that you have raised it, I would certainly give consideration to it, but I can give no guarantee at this point in time, because we are focusing on people at this time who are in Trinidad and Tobago. But certainly that's something I will discuss with colleagues. But I can give no commitment on that at this point in time.
Well, Monday would have been the birthday of a real trailblazer in the Caribbean and Caribbean American community, the birthday of Dr. Roy Hastick. And to honor him, a street naming ceremony took place over the weekend in New York City.
We're here on Flatbush Avenue and Caton Avenue in Brooklyn, New York, and the significance of this location is that our dad, Dr. Roy Hastick, has been so instrumental in creating the first Caribbean American Trade Center in the state of New York, and this is where it's going to be located, this building that is right behind us, that will provide opportunities not only for, you know, the Caribbean community, but also for the small business Caribbean community. And we're just so grateful for that, the work that he has done and what he has done to amplify the voice of our small businesses.
I echo those same sentiments. We can't wait for those doors to open up. It's so significant, not just the building behind us, but also just being in the heart of Flatbush, Brooklyn, the heart of our Caribbean people, the people that he served, the people that he loved, the people that he mentored and built up. It's a tremendous honor, and we are, again, our hearts are full today from all of this.
He was a mentor for so many of us.
We say to Dr. Hastic today that we love you, we honor you, we uplift you. Of the goodness of God, for He has sung. Of the goodness of God, for He has sung. Of the goodness of God.
And so I'm so happy that Cayton and Flatbush forever will bear his name in the center of this commercial district that he loves so much.
In the state Senate, we paused in our deliberations to honor Dr. Hastic, honor this day, honor this accomplishment. So congratulations to you all, and thank you so much.
And now that building is a testament to who he was and his legacy. And also when people walk by, you're not going to have to ask about the building because his name is going to be right on the street. And that is so amazing. I'm honored to be here. Brooklyn is much the better because he was with us for such a long time. Thank you for sharing Dr. Word.
The Hastic family, we definitely want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to Council Member Matthew Eugene. Thank you so much for doing this for my father. We want to thank Assemblywoman Diana Richardson. We want to thank the entire New York City, New York State delegation. It's so many to name, and I am not my father. I cannot name every name in the room. But we definitely want to say thank you. Mom is taking pictures, so I'll give her remarks on her behalf.
New playgrounds unveiled in the Turks and Caicos, and the recreational facility was brought about all through a Go Green initiative. Now at One Caribbean News, Deandra Hamilton has more on how Graceway communities raise these funds and shows us the new digs.
One day after the new government announced that at least $21 million would be devoted to enhancing communities with recreational development came this, the official handover, opening and dedication of the SNAP Center's playground on May 5th. The playground was specially designed, constructed and funded through Graceway Communities and its Staying Blue Tokens initiative. Tokens were earned by customers when they presented reusable shopping bags at checkout. With the tokens, shoppers voted, and winning was the Special Needs Center located in Q-Town, Providenciales.
Congratulations to the administration and staff of the SNAP Center, Graceway Community, and all the persons involved in the planning and creation of this much-needed recreational facility.
I extend our heartfelt thanks to Graceway IGA Communities.
This is Graceway and their views on life and giving back is going through. Even though Clive has passed and gone back to Shirley, was a very close friend of mine, you can still see it inside the team that he left.
Graceway IGA is leading the way. Let's continue to support them. And I want to thank them as well for supporting their Go Green initiative, because remember, this project came about as a result of the Go Green initiative.
Now the 13 children can play basketball, climb, enjoy the merry-go-round, slides, jungle gym, swings, and a 3-lane asphalt running track with the investment of Graceway Supermarkets through its philanthropic arm.
Graceway Communities really focuses on 3 things. We focus on education, environment, and community outreach.
Deacon of St. Monica's Anglican Church blessed the grounds and the ribbon was cut, unleashing happy children in a safe recreational space. And there was sweet reward for Graceway Communities' perseverance through the delays caused by the coronavirus pandemic for a project which stands to be a model for the Turks and Caicos.
Well, the vaccine process is getting more difficult by the minute in Puerto Rico, with education becoming a huge challenge since those numbers show not enough citizens are getting vaccinated anymore. New strategies have come into place, and our Elias Quinones brings us more.
After having one of the best vaccination runs in the world, Puerto Rico is facing a new struggle. Citizens do not seem to want to get vaccinated anymore, and this has health experts bringing new strategies to the table to incentivize people to get vaccinated. And this is why vaccination centers are now established in the middle of a shopping mall.
I think it's because of the misinformation. I think in the fake news. I know Facebook, Instagram, they have a lot of information of disinformation. So I think that people need to come with these centers and get the information, the right orientation. We have all the papers, we have all the information for all the people.
Because of this new struggle, a vaccination center was established in one of the most known shopping malls on the island, Plaza Las Americas. Ortega, along with many other health experts, attribute this problem to the misinformation citizens are exposed to.
We have this new center of vaccines for the people that are not vaccinated. It's very important to people come here and get the right information about the vaccine. I think so this is the most important thing in this moment, the education about the vaccines, the different vaccines, and they are secure for the people. It's important to mention that any individual under the age of 21 needs to come with their legal guardian to get vaccinated. This center is currently accepting walk-ins, but you could also book your appointment through their website. Once you get here, you can even choose which vaccine you'll get. In this moment, we have available Moderna. Vaccine is 2 shots in 28 days, and we have Janssen is 1 shot too. Yes, they can choose in this moment, and we hope so in the next few weeks we can have 2 Pfizer. Now remember, this vaccination center is open throughout the 7 days of the week, and they are accepting walk-ins. Reporting from Plaza Las Americas in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
Well, we start today with an update out of our Washington bureau on a story we brought you last month about earmarks, those pet projects lawmakers want for their districts. And today we've learned Caribbean leaders are actually asking for millions of dollars for our area. And our Washington correspondent Matt Knedler is tracking your money.
Millions of dollars worth of projects could be coming to the Caribbean if all of the requests from Congresswoman Jennifer Gonzalez-Colon and Stacey Plaskett are approved. Here's a look at the top local requests in next year's budget. In Puerto Rico, Gonzalez-Colon is proposing nearly $1 million for the Inter-American University of Puerto Rico, $870,000 for the Boys and Girls Club of Puerto Rico, and $500,000 for the rehabilitation of the Jarlito Fishing Village. In the Virgin Islands, Plaskett is seeking $1 million for the Gallows Bay Marine Enforcement Pier on St. Croix, $1 million for the Crum Bay Marine Enforcement Pier on St. Thomas, and $2 million for a new St. Thomas fish market. These requests are known here in Washington as community project funding, a new title for the controversial earmarks that were banned about a decade ago after the program proved to be full of waste and abuse. House Democrats have brought the program back with stricter oversight measures. Lawmakers will receive up to 10 earmark requests. All of those earmarks account for no more than 1% of the federal budget. Lawmakers cannot profit from the projects, and a new online portal will allow taxpayers to track where the money is going. Republicans have long criticized the program for funding bloated pork barrel projects that don't affect the country as a whole. Instead, they're pet projects in certain districts. But earmarks are often used for infrastructure projects, a big topic right now in Washington. Many of these new requests from our local lawmakers are for infrastructure projects as well. Now, it's important to note that lawmakers could receive all, some, or none of those 10 requests. We'll have a full outline for you of all the requests from our local lawmakers on our website. In Washington, Matt Knedler reporting.
Well, interest in getting a COVID vaccine is waning a bit, but in the Turks and Caicos, they're seeing a spike in folks getting that shot, and it had a lot to do with the government making it mandatory for certain people to get that vaccine. Our Deandra Hamilton brings us this next story.
A record rebound from the waning interest in the COVID-19 vaccine. Now the Turks and Caicos has seen a spike in interest and gotten confirmation from the UK that a 4th batch of top-rated Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is on the way. The interest shot up after government took the bold step to make it mandatory for work permit holders to be vaccinated. A privilege to work in the TCI and not a right gave the Turks and Caicos Islands government the legal footing needed, and this happened. Work permit holders flocked and are still flocking to get their shot before a June 30th deadline.
Here today. You're nervous? You feel scared about the needle?
No, I'm not scared.
The health minister said it is too risky for transient people to be unvaccinated.
The number one program right now, which is the single most thing that the government worries about in terms of healthcare, in terms of the cost, because it's hard to estimate the cost. That pales in comparison to what an outbreak would cost of COVID, an outbreak of COVID would cost the country. Pales in comparison.
The vaccination number is now at 19,515, reflecting a 56% uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine of people with their first jabs up to May 9th, and 42% or 14,803 people who are fully vaccinated. Turks and Caicos did not make that green list for the United Kingdom, and it is hoped the new lowered positive infection rate of coronavirus will give Turks and Caicos the shift necessary to move from level 4 travel alert to a softer, safer rating by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. Health Minister E.J. Saunders commended his team for the decrease from 28% and 600 active cases to 2.7% and 15 active cases. As for migrant workers resisting the jab, their work permit documents will not be renewed, according to government.
Well, it's a continuing and developing story out of St. Croix. Major concerns in St. Croix and across the territory are growing over a recent suspension of operations at the Lime Tree Bay refinery. The shutdown is due to a flare incident with warnings of oil affecting nearby neighborhoods, as reported by Lime Tree Bay. So far, numerous government agencies are responding, and a team from the EPA is on the ground investigating. So what else is being done to help residents in St. Croix? Well, reporter Ellie Bourne-Vanek has those details.
It's been about a day and counting since Lime Tree Bay suspended their operations due to a reported flare incident. Now, Lime Tree Bay reports that this resulted in oil droplets traveling and affecting St. Croix communities. As you can imagine, there's been an enormous amount of concern over this, and there's a lot of moving parts to the situation. So let's start with what we know so far. First, Lime Tree Bay reports that their initial investigations show that the Enfield community has been impacted by this incident, as well as industrial sites. Due to this, Lime Tree Bay has asked residents to disconnect downspouts to cisterns and not consume the water. Additionally, Lime Tree Bay is establishing water distribution to affected communities. We also know that prior to this incident, St. Croix residents have been very concerned over odors coming from the refinery for quite some time, including all of last week. As we've reported, daily life has been greatly affected, including the Department of Education closing a school. In response, numerous local government agencies, federal regulators, and the governor's office have been working together on this. Government House announced this past Sunday that investigations showed elevated levels of sulfur dioxide near the refinery. Fast forward just a few days, and this flare incident has caused Lime Tree Bay to decide to suspend their operations for now. As of now, these investigations are ongoing with hopes of an update soon. In the meantime, the community is taking action. Residents on St. Croix, as well as across the territory, are taking part in addressing this incident in a virtual town hall meeting Thursday night. It's being organized by the St. Croix Foundation for Community Development.
Well, Puerto Rico is well known for its athletes, and when sports unify with a good cause, only magic can come out of it. Alanis Quinones tells us what Sailing with a Purpose is all about.
The nonprofit organization Integro Foundation created an alliance with the Carolina Sailing School for the purpose of providing more accessibility of the sport to unrepresented sectors at the hands of athletes who are going to represent us in the Tokyo Olympics 2021.
Bringing kids from all sorts of life, kids, boys and girls, to experience the sport of sailing and learn a little bit about our ecology here with the sea, the corals, the beach, how to maintain and protect them for future generations.
Enrique Figueroa, better known as Quique, has won 7 gold medals in the Central American and Caribbean Games. And although the pandemic has been challenging, he highlights how they used it in their favor, since it provided a little bit of extra time to practice. At the same time, he gets to pass on his knowledge to future generations.
It's a dream come true. I never thought through the sport of sailing I would be able to teach kids about the maintaining and protecting our natural resources.
One of the main goals of this project is to provide accessibility of this sport to underrepresented sectors such as women and children.
So the idea of Sail with a Purpose is to make sailing an accessible sport in Puerto Rico. We're an island. We can be going out every day and we don't. 80% of the population does not know how to swim, so we're trying to also change that. Taking it further, not only do we want to open it to all children, no matter their socioeconomic status, but also create a safe space for women. I'm a sailor myself. I started sailing and racing 10 years ago, fell in love with the sport, but recognize that it's not an easy sport as a woman to be part of.
Along with Kike, his partner Gretchen Ortiz is also being part of this project. The pair will be heading to the Olympic Games this summer after winning their pass in 2019 at New Zealand. Although Kike is not a first-timer, having gone to the Olympics 4 times before, Ortiz is living a new dream.
Well, it's been incredible. It's actually been very great to sail with Kike, and he's been teaching me a lot. A great honor to represent Puerto Rico and just a blessing.
If you have any doubts about this, you can go to their website. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
And the annual carnival in volcano-hit St. Vincent is not likely to happen this year. Minister of Culture Carlos James gave the heads up in Parliament in a response to a question on whether there would be a Vinci Mas in June to July of 2021. Now, back in March, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves indicated that if between 70 and 80% of the adult population in St. Vincent and the Grenadines took the COVID-19 vaccine, the country's premier cultural festival would go on. But with the massive cleanup and recovery required on the heels of that explosive eruption at La Soufrière in April and the vaccination target far off, that may not be possible.
Prior to the explosive eruption of the La Soufrière, we had extensive discussions surrounding the format and how and if whether we can host Vinci Mas this year. We were considering several variations of Vinci Mas 2021, including virtual and actual events where persons can attend. Having seen since April 9th the devastation that has taken place here as it relates to the eruption of La Soufrière, and with looking at the numbers so far, you just saw the Minister of Health outline, we are barely over the 10% mark in terms of inoculation of our population. It will be some concerns, and it's very highly unlikely that we'll have a Vinci Mas 2021 within the time frame of June, July, as we normally would have it.
And at the same time, the culture minister said that there is still the possibility of some kind of activity going to go on.
I'm certainly open to the idea at some point later this year whether we can develop something that we can bring a level of production, whether virtually or otherwise. Bearing in mind that we are focused right now on the rebuilding and recovery efforts, we can have an activity at some point later this year.